Hello everyone. Title of this video is section 3.5 part 2 on function notation. So in this video I'm going to be going through the Knewton Alta assignment for section 3.5 part 2. Please know that the questions I'm going to be working on are not necessarily going to be exactly the same questions you'll see when you work on the assignment yourself. But the objectives will be the same. The way you would work on certain questions, the way I'm going to do them, will be the same as the way you probably are going to do them yourself. So I'm hoping that at least watching me go through several questions for these objectives help you when you work on the assignment on your own. Okay. All right. So here's the page with the assignment on it. Now this is my preview of it. You're not going to see the word preview. You'll just see section 3.5 part 2 and then the mastery bar, the objectives. Now there's only one objective here, and that's use function notation to find the value of a function given a number, right? Given an input. Then you have your question. Now you won't see the instructor cheat button, right? You'll only see the more instruction button, which I recommend using if you're struggling with a problem or seeing a new objective for the first time. Click on this and you'll see some reading material or some videos that'll help you with the objective, the question you're working on, hopefully. Alright, so for this question, they're saying for the function h of y equals 4 times the absolute value of y plus 2 minus 3, evaluate h of negative 8. Right? So what's the value of this function when the input is negative 8? And I'll describe function notation on some paper here in a second. Alright. So when you see stuff like this, h, now this is said h of y, now h times y, alright. And it'll hopefully you'll understand the difference depending on the context of the problem, right? If they're telling you this is a function, then you should know that this is not representing multiplication. This is h of y. Right. Then this is called function notation. The expression on the outside of the parentheses is the name of the function. Right. Inside the parentheses are your input variables. Now, we're going to be dealing with functions of a single variable, but this is your input variable. And then the whole thing all of it together, when you see h of y, represents the output. And then on the other side, right, when you're seeing a function of some variable, like this h of y here, the expression on the other side should depend on these input variables, right? So you see how the expression on the other side is an expression where the only variable is y, an expression that depends on y. And this expression tells you how to calculate the output. Right? This is how to calculate the output given input y. Or in this case, the input's called y. In other cases, the input could be some other variable. All right. So for example, right, they're asking us in this problem to find, h of negative 8. So all you're doing is going through the rule that we were given in the beginning and seeing, hey, there's negative 8 in the parentheses here. Earlier it was y. So all I'm going to do is replace y, all the y's I see, with negative 8. All right, my input is negative 8. All right. In other words, you could say that the input for this function is negative 8. Same thing. All right, so then when the input is negative 8, what's the output? This h of negative 8, right, that's the output at an input of negative 8. Well, over here it tells me how to calculate the output. So I just go through this rule, 4 times the absolute value of, and replace every y with negative 8. It's that simple. So instead of y there, I've got negative 8 and then plus 2. And everything else stays the same. The only thing I'm changing is the y, right? Y becomes negative 8, and then I got plus 2 and the absolute value of all that. Then minus 3 after. And then we simplify, right? Now remember, for absolute value, you simplify the expression inside first. So this is 4 times the absolute value of negative 6, and then minus 3, and then take the absolute value, right? So this is 4 times, now the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6, minus 3, then you multiply, 4 times 6 is 24, minus 3 is 21. So we say that h of negative 8 equals 21. And once again, this negative 8 is the input, 21 is the output. All right, and another way to say this is that if you were talking about the function h, right, again, the function's name is h right before the parentheses. That means that this would mean that the function h has the ordered pair negative 8, comma 21. Right. There's your input y, and there's your output h of y. Right. Now I know it might be a bit confusing because usually, hey, wasn't the first value supposed to be the x value and the second value supposed to be y? Well, not now, right? Not this time. The way this is set up, the input value, the first value of the ordered pair, is now called y, and the second value is called h, or h of y. Right. So yeah, it's a little trickier, a little different with function notation. But yeah, so the function h would have this ordered pair, input negative 8, so first value, output 21, second value. But that's not what we're asked to do. We're just asked to state what's h of negative 8, right? That's positive 21. So that's what I'll enter back here, right? H of negative 8 equals 21. And submit. Wonderful. And after every question, whether you get it right or wrong, there is an answer explanation. Please read it. If you got it right, just read through it to make sure you got it right for the right reasons, that you didn't just get lucky. And if you got it wrong, especially, read through it and see if you can figure out where you made your mistakes. And then the next time, the next question from this objective hopefully will be a bit easier. Alright, so continuing on. Next question is, again, there's only the one objective here, so I feel like we're doing the same thing every time. And yeah, it looks like that, right? The first question, the function was called h, and the input variable was called y. Here, the function's called f, and the input variable is called x, right? And the output is called f of x. Right, but nothing changes, it's just the letters change, that's all. Alright, so again, I'm going to write this out, and then we're going to find the value of f at an input of negative 4. So again, I have this function called f, the input is called x, and the output is called f of x. And over here is an expression dependent on x that tells me how to calculate the output when the input is x. Right? So we're asked to find what's the value of f at an input of -4, or f of -4. Alright, so just like before here, the last example, this -4 in the parentheses, this just tells me to replace x, my input variable, with -4 anywhere I see an x. And then on the other side, I'm just going to this rule, and this is how the output is calculated. I'm taking 2 times the absolute value of 5 times x, but again, x is being replaced with -4. And then you have plus 7 inside here, and then I'm going to simplify this and then take the absolute value. Remember how absolute value works? Then after -1. Alright, so this is 2 times the absolute value. Now inside the absolute value symbols, this is -20 plus 7, that'd be -13, then -1. But the absolute value of -13 is +13. So I have 2 times 13 minus 1, which is 26 minus 1, that's 25. So the value of this function f at an input of -4 is 25. And that's what I'll be entering, right, in my answer. But don't forget, this also means the following. This is the saying this, that f of -4 is 25, is the same as saying the following, that this function called f has the ordered pair. Remember, a function is a set of ordered pairs where the input values correspond to exactly one output value, right? Every value in the domain corresponds to exactly one value in the range. So the function f has the ordered pair, the input -4, that's the first value of the ordered pair, and then the output is the second value of the ordered pair, right? -4 corresponds to 25. And once again, this value here is our value of x, right, the input variable. And then this value in the second coordinate is the value of f of x, right? The output's called f of x here. But again, all we're asked to find here is 25. Right, so that's all I'm going to enter. F of -4 is 25, and submit. Great. And again, please read through the answer explanations. Alright, so looks like we're doing this again. Alright, but this time the function's called, capital F, and the input variable is x, right, and the output would be called f of x. Right? And then over on the other side, right, how you're calculating the output with a specific input of x. Right? So once again, I'll write this out on a piece of paper and do this. Alright, so once again, function notation. The function's called f. The input variable is called x. And the whole thing, f of x, is what the output is, and over on the other side is how you calculate that output. 2 times x plus 1 in the numerator, divided by 5x minus 2 in the denominator. And we're asked to evaluate the value of capital F at -6. Right? So once again, this just means replace x. Right, so there's number in parentheses here, this expression in parentheses. Just replace the input, replace that variable x with -6. And let's do that over here. So the numerator would be 2 times -6 plus 1 divided by, and the denominator, 5 times -6 minus 2. Now the numerator would simplify to -12 plus 1, that'd be -11, over the denominator be -30 minus 2, that's -32. And remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so this is positive 11/32. And they ask us to enter the answer as a reduced fraction. 11 does not go into 32 evenly, and 11 is prime, so these have no common factors. This is what I'm going to be entering, 11 30-seconds. And then once again, another meaning of this, right? When I say capital F of negative 6 equals 11 30-seconds, this has the same meaning as the following statement, that the function, right, the function called capital F contains the ordered pair, has the ordered pair, and remember, every ordered pair has an input, comma, output. Input negative 6, comma, output 11 30-seconds. All right, so if you were finding ordered pairs for this function, this would be one of them. And the input is a value of x. The output is a value of f of x, right? Capital F of x, or just capital F if you want to say it's the value of f. But the input is an x value. The output is a capital F of x value, a capital F value. All right, but yeah, I'm entering 11 30-seconds. So 11 over 32. Great. And again, please read through the answer explanations. All right, I've probably got just one, I'm 3/4 done here. Looks like there's one more problem, and it's the same kind of problem every single time here, the same objective. But this time, the function is named capital N. The input variable is called t. And then over here, the output, n of t, here's how you calculate it. Right? You take 8t minus 5 in the numerator, divided by negative 5t plus 4 in the denominator, and then of course we're going to simplify the fraction if need be. Alright, so once again I've written the problem out. Again, the function's name is n, the input is called t, n of t is the output, and then on the other side is how you calculate that output with the input t. Right, we're asked to find the value of n at an input of negative 6. And don't forget what this means. This means, replace every t you see, every input variable, with the number negative 6. So I'm going to do that on the other side here, right? This expression here, how you calculate the output. This will be 8 times, t is negative 6 minus 5 in the numerator, and then the denominator, negative 5 times t, which is negative 6, plus 4. The numerator, right, would be negative 48 minus 5, would be negative 53. And the denominator would be 30, right, negative times negative, 30 plus 4, 34. 34 is 2 times 17, and 53 is prime. And nothing goes into 53 but 53 and 1. So these don't have any common factors, so that's it, negative 53 34ths. Right, so the value of this function n at an input of negative 6 is negative 53 34ths. And one more time here for this last question. An equivalent statement to this would be that the function, this function called n, would have the following ordered pair in it. Remember, ordered pairs are input, comma, output. Input, negative 6, comma, output, negative 53 34ths. Right, and this value, right, is not an x value this time, right? It's a value of t. This would be called the t value. And then this output value is not a y value, right? It's called n of t. Right, the output's called n of t, or just the value of n. Right, so t value, n value. But again, all we're asked to enter here is the output, right? Negative 53/34, and that's what I will enter here. So negative 53/34, and submit. Wonderful. All right. So again, every one of these seems to be the same for this objective, for this assignment, and I went over 4 questions here. Again, the questions I came across aren't going to always be this. They aren't going to be the exact same questions you might come across, but the objective is the same. The way you would go about them, right? Input, output, is exactly the same. So I'm hoping that watching me go through this assignment here helps you when you're working on the assignment on your own. And thank you very much for watching.